how did you distribute your time between the prelims and the mains with respect to general studies and with respect to optional? Kindly let us know about that.
So as we all know that my prelims was on 4th of October last year in 2020. So after my prelims, I came back home and I found that I will be clearing the cutoff comfortably because I had scored a decent mark. So I thought that I should start preparing. Now the problem that I faced was same, how to distribute my time between GS and optional. So what I did was that I first focused on optional paper one because and one thing I would like to mention is that my paper one and paper two both were completed. At least one revision was completed before going to the prelim studies. Prelim studies itself, which I started 4 months before the prelim. Now you know that I had joined your test series and I had completed 4 tests before starting my prelim studies. So I had my material ready. I had my short notes ready. So what I had to do was out of the 85 days that I got between prelims and mains, I found out 55 days were enough for my optional preparation. And how is this? I divided the time in the following way. First was for section one, paper one, section two, paper two. So I found out how much time will be required for each section, precise amount of time. So
Okay,
according to me,
so you had an idea that how much time you're going to give to each section. So you have
yes,
thought
sir,
about this
yes,
aspect. Perfect.
yes.
Perfect.
And one thing is that we tend to variably give different amount of time for different sections. However, we should not do that because sometimes we think that we will answer. There is a 20-15-15 marker question, and there are three such questions. So we tend to feel that we will answer two questions from one section and one question from second section. Most of the times we think it like this, but it might happen in the paper that that the section which you are relying upon might betray you at the given time. In
Right,
such a
right.
situation, it is always better to give sufficient time to every section and not neglect any section.
Okay.
That
So
is
you
what
prepared.
I thought of.
So you prepared
Yes,
all the sections. So you prepared all
yes.
aspects of the syllabus. You did not leave anything.
No, no. There is, see, now the competition is so tough that you cannot afford leaving any section,
Okay.
let alone the a section or even any small topic. Because sometimes we tend to leave the residual topics away. For example, global trends in the paper two. However, there might be 20 marker question on terrorism or human rights, and
Right.
in such a situation, we might fall flat on our face. So this kind of things must not happen with us because we do not want to write for your mains again and again. That is the point.
Right.
That is what I did. I gave 40 days for my paper, two papers. So 20 days for paper one and 20 days for paper two. Now these 20 days were primarily for content building. What I mean by content building is that now we have one standard notes or one standard books that we are referring to. Out of these, we may write down our notes, our own notes. But
Right.
the thing that I want to bring into light is that the competition is so tough. Everybody is almost using same 4 or 5 resources, and that is why we need to stand out of the competition. In such a case, we need to add value to the whatever we are doing, and the time between prelims and mains should be given only for value addition. Whatever optional preparation we have to do basic, that should be done before starting the prelim studies itself, if we have to clear the mains in one go. Now there are some exceptional cases, but for an average student like most of us, we should do our optional preparation at least 1 or 2 revisions before starting prelims. So
Right.
after prelims, what we have to do is start value addition. How to do value? First, now let us say we have a topic on multiculturalism. So while reading newspaper or while reading current affairs magazine, we find the news which is related to assimilation of different cultures into one. For example, we have one news related to Black Lives Matter later. So
Right.
we can add this example of Black Lives Matter into our question on multiculturalism also. We can use this Black Lives Matter on any type of answers in paper two also. Different types of answers in paper two. For example, if we have 4 examples of, let us say, a terrorist attack in the world, in different places in the world, and then we can use those in our answers on the question related to terrorism. Any human right, for example, Black Lives Matter can be used in human right violation answer also.
So
So my
this
primary focus was,
this kind of interlinkages you could establish because you had a good idea of the subject before the
yes,
prelims
yes,
itself. Right. So
yes,
you were more concerned about value addition,
yes, yes.
and you
And
added
before,
all these things in your paper too.
yes, all these things I added in the paper two. One
Right.
thing that I found in my paper two was my paper two was not what we say, like conventional paper. For example, what we are taught regularly, that we have to write a theory and etc. So my paper two was basically based on my understanding. of the subject. For example, there were typical questions this year also in paper two. What I tried, for example, there was one question related to Israel again. So here we cannot write just the regular story of Israel. We have to put a newer aspect into it. So now there is one point that I would like to bring here is that if my material is ready, for example, what I have to write about Israel. For example, there is India-Israel relation, let us say question. So if I have first introduction ready on India-Israel, for
Right.
example, let us say I would start with the history of India-Israel relation, just two lines in brief. This is because we have to kickstart our brain. Normally, what happens while writing, we do not start with the best point in the first
The
place
starting.
only.
Right.
Yeah, because our brain is in a hangover of the question that we have written, answer that we have written earlier, and to break that hangover, we need some ready-made material per question. For example, let us say there is India-Israel question or India-USA question. So there should be two lines that are already ready with us that we put in the paper. And by this time, while writing those two lines, try to remember the points related to that answer. Because
Let,
what happens, questions are most.
Prathmesh, let me interrupt you a little bit at this moment. So, did you prepare these kinds of introductions at your end
Yes, sir, I
beforehand?
did.
You prepared
Yes,
it
sir.
for the major part of the syllabus, or for the
Yes.
international relations part, or for the other parts also you prepared?
No, sir. We need definitions for almost every part. We need introductions for almost every
So,
part.
essentially, you had introductions for more or less every part of the syllabus.
Every part, yes, sir.
And you'll recommend
And
this also, that this should be done as a part of this period of time.
this helped
Once you
me a
did
lot.
this,
This helped me a lot because PSIR, it requires expert opinion. It requires an answer from expert perspective. So
right,
you need to start your answer with a very precise and an accurate information on that topic. For example, as I mentioned, let us say there is a question on elections, or there is a question on, let us say, role of election commission. Then if we have a quote by a scholar, by anything a scholar related to election commission, then we can start our answer with that. And
right.
it depends upon the skill of the candidate how to relate that part to the question.
To the question. Like, there was
Yes,
so much criticism of the Election Commission of India in the run up to 2019 general
yes,
elections.
yes,
And so, this
yes,
kind of a context can be used as a part of the introduction itself,
yes.
right?
We can straight away start despite of the criticism that it received in 2019 election. Election Commission stands tall among the various other constitutional bodies as it is provided for under article this and that. And then we can start with the question. Now this looks very ordinary, but it helps you to start your answer in your brain itself, and which is
Right,
very important at that. Otherwise, our brain gets stalled while writing.